All right, welcome everyone to this late night edition of the Community for F#. We're excited to have Chris on tonight. He is a full-stack .NET developer creating applications with C#, F#, and TypeScript. In his free time, he maintains and contributes to several open-source F# projects, several of which he'll be talking about tonight. He's an active member of the F# online community, tries to spread the love of F# and functional programming by speaking to local user groups and conferences. So Chris, thank you for joining us tonight, and we look forward to hearing and seeing your presentation.
Thanks. Hi, thanks for introduction. So hi, I'm Chris. During the day, I'm indeed like software developer, software consultant. Right now, more F# than C# and TypeScript. At night, I'm open source contributor, maintainer of few projects. You can easily find me on GitHub, on Twitter, and let's start it. So today's talk will be about Ionide a bit and about state of F# open source ecosystem. Well, that's a bit like weird title, but essentially we'll be talking about a few F# very popular open source projects which are widely used by community. So I guess probably most of you know better than that stuff than me, but in case there's someone watching who has never heard about F#, F# is statically typed language from ML family created by Microsoft Research. Nowadays, it's first-class citizen of the .NET platform. It's functional first, but multi-paradigm. So if you really like pain, you are free to do some object-oriented thing in F#. And one of the most important things that even though it has very good integration with .NET platform and often is like thought about like only .NET, it also works very well on Mono, and it can be compiled to work on like iOS, Android. It can be transpiled to JavaScript, so it works in browser. It can be used to be transpiled for GPU. So basically, it's not only .NET, but everything else. And since I've always heard that functional programming is connected very hard with all this academic background, maths, and this complex stuff, we can't have talk about functional programming language without some very complex equation. So here it is. And yeah, that's probably most important thing to remember from this talk. True open source is not just throwing code on GitHub or anywhere else, but also building community around project is probably even more essential than code itself. And that's one of the things which is very characteristic for F# community. Before we move to tooling and projects I contribute to, I will give two examples of F# as community-driven ecosystem. First of all, F# Software Foundation, which was started in 2012, and is responsible for general managing development of F# language ecosystem as whole. It's formal non-profit organization, officially registered as this non-profit organization a couple of weeks ago. Essentially, it's community way of taking part in F# development. Things like democratic elections or public status reports provides good transparency for decisions important for whole ecosystem. And second one is F# was releasing F# 4.0, which happened sometime previous year. What's important here is that all work were done on GitHub, all work was discussed on GitHub, and it was mostly community effort. Out of 38 contributors, over 75% are not working for Microsoft nor Microsoft Research, and this somehow shows how important community participation in language development is and how big it is. Yeah, that was like a quick introduction to F#, and now let's move to interesting things. So, Paket. Paket is alternative dependency management tool created by F# community. But what's important is that is general .NET tool. It supports F#, C#, VB.NET, NRMOS. So even though it's only thing which it has like connected, which is only thing which is connecting it right now with F#, is fact that it's written in F#, and like some people from F# community are contributing to it. But what's important is that like it can be used everywhere. Its command line tool, its file formats are human readable and really easily editable using even simple Notepad. But also there are very nice extensions for Visual Studio, Xamarin Studio, Atom, and Visual Studio Code for it. And what problem this tool solves for us? For the NuGet part, it's still using server part of NuGet, so we can easily use all existing NuGet server, all existing packages, and so on. What it does is it provides several enhancements for client part. It manages dependencies on solution level, so we can have different versions of same package in different projects in same solution. I bet everyone here had some like JSON.NET problem, like which was resolved by checking versions of JSON.NET in different packages. At least that was what I've encountered often before I've moved all my projects to Paket. It removes version from packages folder. Normal NuGet puts versions numbers in name of the folder where package is placed, what makes really difficult for just updating dependencies. After updating dependency with normal NuGet, we always have like tons of merge conflicts in every project file there is. And with NuGet, we don't have this problem at all. Additionally, Paket has some really nice, very useful features, such as GitHub dependencies and HTTP dependencies, which allows us for sign dependency management even for resources which are not published as NuGet packages. It's important. Sometimes some library is published only on GitHub. Sometimes its source code is available. Sometimes we just want to, especially for the F#, sometimes we just want to use one file from the repository because that's all what we want. So Paket solves this problem for us. Next interesting thing is also group features, which allows to define set of dependencies. We can, for example, separate our application real dependencies from our dependencies which are only here because they are needed for test, and from, let's say, build dependencies. Idea is somehow similar to NPM, Node Package Manager, where users have development dependencies and application dependencies, but here it's taken, it's moved even further, as we can define as many groups as we want. That's really nice. Paket is a very actively developed project. Upcoming version 3 will provide support for full Git protocol, so we will not be limited only to GitHub anymore, and it will allows user to build dependencies from source, which is really nice. As I've mentioned before, sometimes like library is not publishing it's like DLLs or something like that, but it's just like in source code. We can only have its source code, and this will allow us to just get this source code and build it. Yeah, stats are probably a bit outdated that's like state about 2 months ago, but it's just like quickly showing how it's community-driven project. It's not like one guy is creating it, contributing. but it's like over 100 contributors, like 500 pull request merge, and so on, so on. Okay, and now let's quickly see how it works. So basically, with Paket, we have three different files. Paket dependencies and Paket log are files which are used on solution level or like repository root level. Paket references is file which is created for every project we have in solution. Paket dependencies is specifies direct dependencies used by any project in a solution. What's important, you will specify only direct dependencies, and this file will always contains only direct dependencies. So we don't have to worry about all the mess normal NuGet does in packages.config file, where NuGet we take one dependency from NuGet, and NuGet puts all indirect dependencies also in the same file. So after a while, we don't have any idea what was our dependency and what we want to update, and what is just like indirect dependency. Paket log is file which is automatically computed and generated by Paket from this previously Paket dependencies file. It contains fully resolved graph of dependencies, and it's equivalent of packages.config file, as here we have all dependencies with int versions, but still is more human readable, and we can easily see full like tree of dependencies, and which dependencies are like top level and which are just indirect dependencies. And last file is Paket references. It specifies dependencies used in project. We create this file for each project in solution, and it also contains only direct dependencies which are used in this particular project. Fake. Fake is F# Make. It's built automation system. It's somehow similar to Make or Rake if you ever used those different tools. It's built as domain-specific language on top of F#. What's important is that it's not only F# tool, but it can be used in any language, .NET language, or even not necessary in .NET project at all. What's important, it doesn't require much F# knowledge. It's mostly just DSL and some built-in library functions we can take from, like we can check documentation for that. Fake is tool which is often introduced to the project as first bit of F#. Probably most guides which are like telling how to introduce F# to the organization or to my team mentions using fake for build scripts. First of all, it's a very good tool. Secondly, most people just don't like doing build scripts, so if there's some tool which makes it more sane, it helps. Essentially, fake allows for defining tasks which will be run during our build process and defining dependencies between those tasks. For example, like dependency that before running build task, we want to run clean task or something like that. It has very interesting features such as parallel execution or caching. But from my point of view, most important thing is that it has helpers for almost anything in .NET space, from simple building applications using MS Build and testing, through GitHub support to support for tools like Octopus Deploy or other CI servers. It's also a very old tool. It was probably one of the first very popular tools in F# space, which was started to used by almost everyone. And both Paket and Fake are nowadays used almost by every F# open source project, and we have many commercial applications, many commercial projects are also using those two tools. So who is using Fake? For example, Akka.net, GitHub, Elasticsearch, Math.net, all those projects. What's interesting about those 4 projects is that, yeah, those projects are C# projects. They have nothing to do with F#. So yeah, so that's like showing that Fake is starting to become a very important tool for whole .NET ecosystem, not only for F# space. And running Fake, I will quickly show how to create some simple task. Yeah, as we can see, we just create something called target. Target is basically a normal F# function which takes nothing, returns nothing, and has some kind of name. And later, we just, after defining all our targets, we just define dependencies between them. What's nice is that Fake has inbuilt like tree resolver, so we don't have to worry too much about if everything is always well defined, since Fake does a lot of magic for us. Building, really, what's happening here is really not as important as just showing that. It's pretty simple. There are small blocks. Those are like 3 lines of code, 5 lines of code. I very rarely see targets which are longer than probably 10 lines of code. It's very easy to build those small Lego pieces and to put them together to create something nice. Yeah, here is an example of running NuGet. As I've said before, Fake has helpers for almost everything in .NET space. So NUnit, XUnit, all other test runners, all other interesting tools which are used in .NET space. And even if some tooling is not supported by Fake, it Fake's very active community around it. So probably if you just make an issue on GitHub that something is not supported, someone will write it pretty fast. Okay, and now let's move to Ionide. So, Ionide is an Atom editor and Visual Studio Code package suite for cross-platform F# development. It provides F# editing features for both those editors. Both those editors are built on top of Electron, which is technology allowing to build desktop applications using HTML, JavaScript, and CSS. So both those editors share common technology under them, but they are completely different. That's often a question that what's like the relation between Atom and Visual Studio Code, or why Microsoft just didn't contribute to Atom and decided to fork something. Like that's just not true. They created their own product. It's like saying that 2 applications in WPF are like forking something. It's just not true. Yeah, so it provides F# editing features like autocomplete, tooltips, errors, go to definition, and other those like simple things we have in every IDE. It provides Paket integration and Fake integration, so users can use both those tools without leaving editor, without having to go to command line and do something. There also exist other features such as built-in F# interactive or integration with F# Yeoman Generator to provide product scaffolding for F#. But main point is that a lot of focus is really put on integration with other tools built by community. That's why we don't have NuGet or base MS build support. and we have Paket and Fake. I just believe. Well, the idea was to create good user experience based on those alternative and, in my opinion, better tools. Yeah, so and now probably it's a bit of demo time. Demo time. Let's start the code. Okay, so here I have very simple, what is it? FSLab project. FSLab is this library created by Thomas Petruchak and others to provide really nice data science solution for F#. Yeah, so this is normal script file. As you can see, it loads some other script file, opens some namespaces and do some stuff. And as we can see, we have some kind of error. We have tooltip saying what this error is. We have list of errors which are in this file. Problem with this file right now is that World Bank type provider changed something in its API, and like file is outdated. But as we can see, we can using type provider, so it's like ultimate test for editors that type providers are working well with editor, and everything as we can see, everything is working well. We have IntelliSense for that. We have some kind of additional informations. We can, yeah, there should be more data here, but it's not implemented there yet. It will be in the future. Let's change this. As we can see, everything is working. We don't have to save file or anything. It's just working same way as normal. As in Visual Studio or Xamarin Studio, whatever editor you use. Yeah. Yeah. Tooltips, as I've said before, built in F# Interactive, so we can start F# Interactive. We have nice output panel, which is very similar to the thing we have in Visual Studio, normal Visual Studio, or in Xamarin Studio. And let's do some stuff here. Oh, something is not working. That's interesting. Anyway, let's try something other. Let's yep. As we can see, it's just normal F# interactive evaluation. And let's try second demo. Second demo will like for the second demo, I'm using one of the projects I'm working right now, open source project, which is called Fix. Fix is also a very interesting tool, which provides it's command line interface, which provides common user experience for all these things I'm talking about. So for Paket, for Fake, for project scaffolding, we just put everything in one executable and try to create some nice user experience with that. We also provide tasks for manipulating a project file through command lines. It's like for people not using Visual Studio, it's often difficult to just edit project file by hand without help of Visual Studio. Visual Studio does a lot of things for us we don't even notice, like every day we are using it. And yeah, Fix is a project which aims to solve this problem. And let's try doing some Paket magic. In both Atom and Visual Studio Code, there is this concept of command palette. Basically, it's this thing which is active right now. It's just select box when all possible commands which we can run in our editor are displayed. Let's say they are helpers for Git, for example. There are some markdown things. That's not really important. We are looking for Paket commands. And let's try, for example, finding if we have any outdated packages. Actually, all things which are happening here are not as it's not as important what is happening. More important is that there is this nice user experience. Like even if you haven't used Paket or Fake before, you can like notice this really nice user experience that yeah, I have some notifications, I have like output here, I don't have to leave editor anywhere, I don't have to go to command line and run those functions. Yeah, as you can see, we have some outdated packages. So yeah, let's look. This is my Paket dependencies file. As I mentioned before, this file is defining top-level dependencies, my direct dependencies. Those are things I want to have. I don't really care about indirect dependencies. That's the problem of people creating those libraries. I'm interested in this thing. And here is my Paket log file, which is result graph of those dependencies. As we can see here, for example, F# formatting, and I care about F# formatting, has two dependencies on F# compiler services and F# Visual Studio Power Tools, and so on, so on. FS unit has dependency on F# core and Ionide, and so on, so on. Since we had some outdated packages, let's try to update them. Again, we have nice pop-up saying that something is happening. We can open output, which just show us what's happening. We have information that everything was completed successfully. If something failed, we would have like error notification here, so we would also know that something is wrong, something is not working. And as we can probably sorry, this one. Oh, as we can see, our Paket log file has updated. Our Paket dependencies file is still the same since we haven't pinned any versions there. Nothing like in Paket dependencies. We have only defined our top-level dependencies, and we actually don't care about all this other thing which is here. And this change is happening automatically using Paket. And another thing, now let's open our build file. Oh yes, as you can see, as I've said before, it's just those small blocks of really just domain-specific language, which are not complex, doesn't require a lot of F# knowledge. It's just basically domain-specific language. We just do some stuff, and here we define dependencies, saying that if we, for example, let's take this definition. If we run default target, we want to run test before it. We want to build before running test. We want to update assembly info before building, and we want to clean it before. Yeah, and let's try to build it right now. We have two possibilities in Ionide, in both Atom and Visual Studio Code. We can choose build option, which will just show us all possible targets we have, and yeah, we can choose one, for example, clean. And here again, we have this nice pop-up, and we can open an output window, which shows us everything what is happening. Yeah, it takes a while because my internet is slow, but yeah. Status OK. There are some warnings, but that's not super important. There is a nice build report showing how long was each task. And now the other option was to build default. Build default runs this target which is defined here, run target or default. If we don't say fake that we want to run target X, it will just run this default target we defined here. So let's do this. Not so fast. So basically, first step is updating Paket exe version to the latest one, since Stefan is like creating. Oops, sorry. Since Stefan is creating like two versions every day, it's really important that we always have this latest version. Then we have resolved target graph, so we have all information what is happening and what is result target order, how it will be run. And we just have target by target, we fake executes our code, starting target clean, doing something, finished target, starting target assembly info, creating assembly info file, finished target, starting target build, doing some MS build magic. That's usually the thing which is in our output panel in Visual Studio when we press F5. And something failed. Something failed. That's not as important. As we can see, we have this error here. Build failed. We have nice information that it's failure. We have report for our targets which were run before, and we have like accepted what happened, why it failed. Maybe I will show also some Atom, because that's also what people are using often. So Visual Studio Code is this Electron built in HTML, JavaScript by Microsoft. We have also this very similar. Oops. We have also this very similar project done by GitHub, which is Atom Editor. Let's find some interesting project. And we have very similar user experience for Atom Editor. It's not the same, since Microsoft has made a bit different user experience decisions for Visual Studio Code, but set of functionalities is the same. So we can do all these things we can do in Atom. We can do in all things we can do in Visual Studio Code. We can do in Atom. In Atom, we can do also a few more things, but that will probably change in the future, since Microsoft is opening and their API for Visual Studio Code a bit more. Yeah, and as you can see, we have very similar command palette. We have similar commands for fake. Let's just build default. Here is this different user experience. We have the different user interface. We have such nice notification pop-up. We just have all information we had in this output panel in Visual Studio Code before. Okay, and right now I'm building Ionide FSI, which is a plugin for Atom, adding F# Interactive to Atom. What's really important about all our Ionide plugins is that they are written in F# and they are compiled to JavaScript, since as I've mentioned before, both Visual Studio Code and Atom are using JavaScript, we have to produce JavaScript in the end. As we can see, it's normal, basically normal F# code, pretty ugly with some mutable variables, and it's not. Oh, one of the features I've recently added to Atom is F# lint support. As you can see, I don't really follow all suggestions, but that's normal F# code, and as a result, we have some very ugly JavaScript code, which is later run by Atom or similarly by Visual Studio Code. Let's find if I have another demo already. Let's check Atom. Another thing I'm working on right now is Atom Ionide integration with FSLab, this data science library I've mentioned earlier. What we want to achieve is kind of notebook style user experience for Ionide, for doing data science in Ionide. Let's start doing stuff here. Yeah, I'm just, as you would in Visual Studio or in Xamarin Studio, I'm just selecting code and pressing shortcut which sends selection to FSI. It's Alt-Enter in my configuration. And as you can see, everything is just working fine and yeah, executing. And here what's interesting, yeah, we have like a chart produced by FSLab embedded in our F# interactive session. So we have like immediate output for what we are doing. We don't have to open browser or do something like that. We just have this output, this nice output in our F# interactive in our editor. Yeah, and that's also, I think, provides very nice user experience for people. And let's now go back to the presentation. 2016 watchlist is my personal watchlist. What I think will be important for F# in the future, in this year. First of all, F# on Core CLR. I know that work on it is pretty advanced, and hopefully we'll have everything working well on Core CLR, since I believe it's very important for the future of .NET. Core CLR is very important for the future of .NET as such, and F#, if F# wants to have place in this future, also needs to support Core CLR. Second thing is SWAF. SWAF is a lightweight. Let's start the web page. SWAF. SWAF is a lightweight, simple web development library. It's both web development library, and it's also just lightweight non-blocking web server. It's very nice. It uses really hard notion that web server is basically can be represented as function. So it's just always, let's say, HTTP request, and there is always HTTP response. That's how basically all HTTP servers works. So whole pipeline of our operation is, all our operations we do on the server are just pipelining of the functions, and that's really nice. Yeah, you can, in free time, you can like visit swap.io. That's probably a topic for another talk by someone more experienced with this library. And I believe that SWAF, especially SWAF, has its 1.0 release recently, a few weeks, maybe months ago. So it's stable, production ready. Personally, I'm using it right now on the project for microservices application hosted on Azure Service Fabric. So that's definitely used in the wild, in production, and it works amazingly well. SWAF will be really important if we put it together with Coursera, as that probably will be like killer web stack for the F#. That's probably what everyone doing web programming in F# wants to do. And last thing for my watch list is Fix. That's mainly because it's my project and I like believe into my projects. Hopefully, we will bring this nice user experience for people not using Visual Studio. Fix solves problems which are probably not visible by Visual Studio or Xamarin Studio users, but I've learned that there are a lot of people, especially coming from other functional programming languages, which don't like those big IDEs thing, which like needs 10 gigabytes of hard disk space to install and do all this stuff. They just want their simple editor, whether it's Visual Studio Code or Atom or Vim or Emacs, it doesn't really matter. Fix aims to like help those people to make their life easier, and I hope it will be like similarly to how Fake and Paket are solving everyone's problems, making everyone's lives easier. It will also help at least those small group of people and will make their life easier. Okay, are there actually any questions? Were there any questions during the talk? Ryan, can you?
Yeah, there haven't been anything showing up in the Q&A section, and I haven't seen anything on Twitter either.
Okay.
I think you're answering a lot of everyone's questions.
Okay, so if there are no any questions, links to those three projects I've talked most about. Paket is hosted on FS Projects, which is a GitHub organization for many F# open source projects. Ionide also started there and moved to its own organization in some time. Fake is hosted on official F# organization. Ionide has its own organization, and it has also nice IO domain, so it's cool. And more info about F#. F#org, so it's a web page of F# Software Foundation. I mentioned at the beginning of talk, it's really nice both starting point and even for looking some more advanced information, or how to use F# on different platforms, not only on Windows, let's say. fpchat.com is really nice community for all functional programming. It's language, it's Slack chat. Currently, I think there are no automatic registration, but if you register there, after a day or so, you get invitation for the channel. F# cheat sheet, it's very nice for the styling and generally very nice piece of information. F# for fun profit, probably the best source of F# knowledge I've seen, both for new F# developers and experienced F# developer. FS Products GitHub, as this is this place I've mentioned before talking about Paket. There is no only Paket, there are really a lot of, right now, 80 public repositories with really a lot of interesting projects, Paket, SQL providers, FS Unit, and so on and so on. And Thomas .NET. It's Thomas Petriczek's blog. He has always very interesting blog posts, and I find them really very interesting, so I recommend it. And that's all, I think. Thank you for your attention, and hopefully you will be able to use Paket and Rake in your works and make your work nicer and more interesting. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, this is great, Chris. Thank you very much. I do have a couple of questions of my own if you're still open to questions.
Sure.
So you had kind of started this off mentioning that you were going to talk about the state of F# open source, and you definitely showed like a bunch of really good things here. What's your feel of the community itself and how it's growing, how they're contributing to some of these projects? Is there a lot of community involvement, or is there like a desire to have more people help out? And if there is desire for more help in some of these projects, is there anything in particular that you think would be in need of contributors or things like that?
Okay, so both Paket and Rake has tons of contributors. As you can see, this is a slide for Paket. 100 contributors over 2 years. It's like amazing stat for me, at least. Let's check out what it's right now. 136 contributors. Especially that F# is, well, it's not as popular a language as C#, so it's not as easy to find. Well, there is definitely smaller pool of people who will contribute, but I think like percentage of people who contribute to projects is really high. Let's try same with Rake. Rake has 200 contributors right now. That's really interesting. So as you can see, like it's not really for those really popular projects. It's not really hard to find contributors. For my projects, let's find Ionide. For my projects, number of contributors is not as high, but I kind of understand it since doing editor tooling is not the most exciting thing in the world. Everyone likes to have good tooling, but contributing to it, it's not as interesting as probably other things. So it's like just editor tooling is mostly handling tons of edge cases and it's like just simple bugs, and that's actually pretty boring thing. But I would definitely say, getting back to the question, that the F# community is really good at contributing to F# to open source project. I think like almost everyone in community understands that they have to build something. Like no one will build it for them. In C# there is always this probably wrong like opinion that yeah, Microsoft will build it for us, like let's say data access library or anything. In F# community, we don't just wait for Microsoft to do things. We do it alone, and we have great success with it, I think.
Very cool. What about some of the underlying projects that are backing Ionide? I know you're using, if I remember correctly, FS Autocomplete and some of the other F# compiler service and those types of tools.
Yeah.
Or have those been getting lots of good commits and whatnot?
F# compiler services, which is open edition of F# compiler prepared for editing stuff, so it's exposing some additional APIs for editors to use. It's having a lot of contributors, so it was always very important project, both for like F# Software Foundation point of view and from community point of view. F# Autocomplete probably gets most of contributions from people which are using it. So FS Autocomplete is project. Since F# compiler services is .NET library, we can't use it in JavaScript world, or we can't use it in Emacs with their Lisp or whatever. We can't use it in Sublime. So directly. So FS Autocomplete is a project which provides a communication layer between those editors and F# compiler services. At the moment, there are two possible ways of communicating. So through standard input-output kind of server and HTTP request response hosted on SWAF. And this project gets most of its contributions from people who are doing editor support for particular editors. So I'm contributing a bit. Guys who are responsible for Emacs plugin contribute to it. Same for Vim plugin and so on. So definitely it would need some more help, but on the other hand, as I've said, doing editor tooling is not super popular and super exciting thing, so I couldn't really understand why it's not getting as many contributors as those other projects.
Cool. Is there a central place where most of these things are discussed in terms of, I guess in the sense of communicating across the various editors and tools? Is it primarily in GitHub on the issues and pull requests, or is it in Slack or one of the other channels that are available for F# community members?
But definitely some discussions is like done on GitHub. I think almost everyone doing any tooling in F# is on the FPChat Slack in F# channel. So like me, guys doing visual F# power tools for Visual Studio, guys doing Xamarin support in F#. Everyone is there in FPChat Slack. There's also F# Software Foundation Slack, where you get access when you are a member of F# Software Foundation, which you can be like for free. Membership is free, so it's really easy to just sign up and get invited to this Slack channel. And there is specific room for talking about editor support.
Very cool. There are a few others on the call. Anyone else have any questions for Chris before he takes off for the evening?
Maybe I'll jump in and just say, thank you so much for your work. It's amazing. And what are some upcoming features we might look for in your Ionide project?
Definitely, this FS Lab support with embedded chart in F# Interactive. It's just my very early hack version, so it's nowhere public. I would like to work really a lot on it. I know that Thomas has a lot of plans with like making Ionide as some kind of FS Lab editor for FS Lab and data science for F#. That's probably something interesting. I'm investigating also integrations with some other toolings, some test runners, so we can run test and have really nice output, nice charts, or just information in the editor. I'm thinking about integration with one of benchmark tools which is used in .NET, so we can have like benchmark charts of execution in Atom, for example, of Visual Studio Code, so that would be cool.
So when people look at the Ionide project on GitHub, are they able to see open issues that are like looking for like up for grabs or things like that where they can just jump in, or do you encourage pull requests or things of that nature?
Yes, definitely we accept all reasonable pull requests. We definitely have some things marked as up for grabs, some things marked as enhancement. I definitely really like every contribution we have. It doesn't have to be pull request. It can be just like opinion or like even issue if it's like smart enough. And like suggestions for me, for people who are doing it with me. We all love to hear from community what's going on and how they use our product and how to make it better.
That's great. Thank you again.
Thanks. So, anything else? Any more questions?
No, I guess that sounds like it's it. I don't remember if you mentioned this to everyone else, but I thought it very interesting that you mentioned to me earlier on that you haven't used the full instance of Visual Studio in months.
In last month,
In the
let's
last
say.
month, okay. Yeah, so all the work that you've been doing in VS, I guess you've been mostly using VS Code or Atom or both, or?
Mostly VS Code. Well, I've lied a bit. I'm using Visual Studio for debugging. It's if it's really necessary. That doesn't happen as much as, well, after moving to F#, I found myself not using debugger as much. But, well, if there is something really important to debug, I'm going back to Visual Studio and just use it. But for like most of editing job, I definitely use Visual Studio Code right now.
Very cool. Well, yes, as Brody said, thank you. I think it was Brody. But thank you so much for all the work that you've been doing. I've been using it off and on and really enjoying it. So thank you again. And thank you also for presenting tonight. It was very good. This recording will be available afterwards for those who may have missed it. So I'm sure that they will be excited about that. And thank you again, Chris. I hope you have a wonderful night. Do you want to share, I think you might have shared earlier on, but maybe flip back to the slide where you share like contact information in case anyone has any follow-up questions later on.
That's my Twitter. You can find me on Twitter. You can find me pretty easy on GitHub. Like if you search for Ionide, I will be like somewhere there. Yeah, and that's all, I guess.
Excellent. Thanks again, Chris, and have a wonderful night. Thanks everybody for tuning in, and we'll catch you in another week. And we have another. I think this month we have a talk every week, which is pretty exciting. So maybe we'll keep that up this year and actually have more than one a month, as opposed to having one almost every month.
Thank you very much. It was awesome.
Thanks.
Have a good night, everyone.